All
Right,
right. Welcome to the
man.
Domestic Draft Podcast. I'm Evan Bierman here with Dan Slowick. Dan, I'm broadcasting from the eye of the storm here. We actually have a tornado warning in effect right now in
Really?
Chicago, so we'll see if we make it through this whole podcast. It's true. We do. I think skies are clearing up here though, so we should be okay. But I'm excited to be back. It's been a couple weeks
Do you guys have a
and
tornado warning? Like, do you have a tornado
siren.
plan? No, like a
Uh
plan in your apartment? Or did you have one growing up? Did you remember what you were like supposed to do?
Yeah, you go in the basement.
Basement?
That's what we got here. We got a little basement area, so we can go
Okay.
down there where there's no windows or mirrors or any of that stuff. What about you? Do you have a
We have no
spot?
tornadoes out here in California, but when I was growing
Yeah.
up, our plan was to go. We had like a central bathroom. We didn't have a basement. We had a ranch that we added a second story to, but we had a bathroom in the middle of the house with like no windows. So it was always like go into that bathroom and like pile in the bathtub kind of thing. But
Okay.
that was the plan. It's weird to think
Yeah.
that like as a family unit you have like a tornado plan. Now living in California, you have like earthquake. You have like a
Yeah.
go bag ready to earthquake. Sorry, I just like
Do
was
you have a go bag? Hold on. Do you
you're
have a go
supposed
bag?
to. I don't have one. You're supposed
All right.
to
Well, you
though.
better get that in order, man.
I
You've been
actually
out
need
there for a
that.
couple years.
Yeah, I need to get one going there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but it's been a few weeks since we've touched base here. It was good to see you. I mean, you came home for a little while there too. Then we had the 4th of July holiday, so it's good to be back. See, you got a beer. Why don't you kick us off?
yeah. No, it was great being back. It was one for the books. Perfect kind of vacation back home. Saw Fall Out Boy at Wrigley Field with the Academy is. A couple days in the city. It was like perfect weather. Went to the zoo, Lincoln Park, walked the lakefront. It was great. Really enjoyed it. Got some food with you. But yeah, let's get to the beer and then we'll get to some talking here. I'm drinking Full Circle Brewing. It's out of Fresno, California. And it's a really good beer. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's a hazy IPA. It's a hazy pale ale brewed with a ton of citrus, and it's only 5%. So it's like pretty easy. It's pretty crushable. A lot of citrus on the flavor notes. Design on the can's pretty cool, but a little bit about the brewery, Full Circle Brewing. So this has been Full Circle changed ownership in 2016, and it's one of the longest running breweries over up in the Central Valley. So they changed owners in 2016. Arthur Moy was a CPA, and he had a passion for home brewing. Sound familiar? So he started to make his own beer. He had his own company, his own CPA company that he was running, and decided to make the huge leap and sold his practice and bought this brewery, Full Circle Brewing. So he sold his practice, bought the brewery in 2016, rebirthed it with new beer, new kind of vigor and energy in there, and got some investors from the community there to back him up as well. And it's just been taking off. It's really been doing really well. They're expanding how much they're brewing and canning. They're also like acquiring other breweries. So they are a black owned business, and it says like on their can as well. And they just acquired another business, Speakeasy, to become the largest black owned brewery in the United States.
Wow.
So Full Circle Brewing up in Fresno, and they're absorbing other brands as well. The beer is really, really good. It's I want to go if I can get up there and check it out. That's what I got for Full Circle. The beer got a 3.7 on Untapped. And most of their beer is shipped. It's canned and shipped with a couple tap rooms here and there. What do you got?
Okay. Okay. No, that's interesting. Definitely an interesting story. Getting into that, starting at home brewing, that's a
Mm-hmm.
story we've heard a million times. But the fact that they purchased that, and acquired other brands too, is different than I think a lot of the brands and breweries that we've talked about on this show.
Yep.
So today I have Lonesome Lager, which is done by Lonesome Rose, which is actually a all day bar and restaurant in Logan Square, and this was brewed at Mars Community Brewing Company, pretty well known brewery in Chicago. But they brewed it exclusively for Lonesome Rose. They said it's an all day bar and restaurant. They specialize in Tex-Mex inspired food. They focus on basics done beautifully. They do breakfast tacos. They have probably the best margaritas in the area by me for sure. Beefy quesaritos, things like that. Really good food. They opened in Logan Square in 2017 and recently expanded to Andersonville in 2023. So the space is known to be, lots of plants, light filled, open design, and they were actually finalists for the James Beard Foundation Awards Outstanding Design
Nice.
Award because of how cool it looks in there. And then they've also been Michelin Bib Gourmand every year running. So I've heard that term a lot before. I'm not
I'm
sure
gonna
if you're
say,
familiar with
tell
it.
our listeners what that is.
So Michelin Bib Gourmand Award is a little bit different than obviously Michelin stars. A lot of people know what that means. But what a Bib Gourmand Award means, they've been giving these out. Michelin has since 1997. It's essentially a best value for the money restaurant. So
Hmm.
it's, you know, 3-course meal at a reasonable price. And that award is called the Bib Gourmand Award. And
That's what I'm
so,
talking about.
yeah, a lot of these restaurants that get these have in common the simple style of cooking, recognizable, easy to eat. So it's a pretty cool award, I think, honestly, and it's one that I'm going to look into a little bit more. But I love Lonesome Rose. I would say if you're in the area, definitely go there. It's one of my favorite restaurants in
Nice.
Logan Square, if not in the whole
Michelin
city.
stars.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, chef.
right,
You watching
right.
it?
I've seen a couple episodes so far. I'm not through the
Uh,
full The Bear
all right,
season
no
2 yet,
spoilers
but
then. No spoilers.
no spoilers. But we do have a spoiler today. It's our
Yeah.
official league hat giveaway. Our winner, congrats, David Alley. He's at David Alley 4 on Twitter. David is a big Cubs fan, avid listener. Thanks again to everyone who participated. David, we've already reached out. We're going to be sending that hat over to
Yep.
you shortly. So thanks again to everyone. Look out for more giveaways in the future.
Yeah,
Dan,
he's
the
gonna
first thing
enjoy. He's gonna enjoy that hat. I'm
yeah,
wearing
it's a
an
sick hat.
official league right now. They're just quality. They're just quality hats.
This is a sick hat. All right, Dan, the first thing I want to talk about today is the Bulls and the NBA. Summer League has started up. I want to get your
hmm
initial
hmm
thoughts on what's going on with not only the Bulls, but in the NBA. The first thing that's on my mind is Wembanyama, number 1 pick,
Wemby.
struggled in the first game, and there was a lot of talk about him being a bust after just
Yeah. Oh
one
my
game,
gosh.
which is absurd. But I
Yeah.
want to get your take on what you've seen so far from him, and then we'll talk a little Bulls.
Okay, so for him, yeah, I watched both of his games. I mean, yeah, he literally was like finishing a season in Europe, got drafted, comes over, does the media rounds, starts to like go to the Spurs facility, and then he's got a game to play that everyone's like, all right, if he doesn't score 80 points and 50 rebounds, he's a bust, right? So yeah, I mean, he was just finding his field the first game, but I really looked at the second game, and he had a pretty good stat line. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like 20 something and 10. He had double. But there are just some plays where I was just like audibly like out loud yelling at, not yelling, but like to my TV, like, this guy's freaking insane. Some of the putbacks, he had like a fast break that somebody gave him a lead pass to where they caught it, gathered himself, and like he put on his tippy toes to like slam it down. The amount of shots that he was, changing on the defensive end just by going straight up and down. And he's not gonna, I don't know, he's in the perfect situation. I mean, the Spurs organization, there's not a lot of like media pressure down there, albeit he'll be getting a lot of pressure nationally, but like locally he'll be able to just focus. They shut him down after 2 games, kind of like saw what they wanted to see. He's been nonstop, so this is like his break. Basically, he's gonna have a break here before they start training camp, get settled in, and I think he's gonna be just fine. But he does look very slender. My biggest concern would be injury. And then, there's a couple plays that he's been posterized on, but that's because he's trying on defense. He's trying to block. He's trying to go straight up. He's not like, avoiding it. He's going to be in the paint quite often, and he's going to get dunked on a lot because of his slender frame, but he's also going to disrupt a lot of shots. He's going to block a lot of shots. He's, closing out on 3-point shot attempts and tipping them when people think they're open. He's just a freak athletically, physically. He's gonna be great. I've been impressed also. And then that Britney Spears stuff, did you see that?
Yeah, security team
Security like slapped her, or like pushed her
yeah,
down or whatever. So he's already like
that's
in the
pretty crazy.
tabloids. But you don't see him a lot, right? You don't see him posting, you don't see him like talking. He's kind of professional about it and staying focused on the task at hand.
Yeah. So this notion of shutting players down, is this a new thing, or have they always been doing it? I feel like I hadn't heard of this, for rookies.
They've done it.
Since
They've
Chet
done it with
Holmgren
like
got hurt.
they've done it with like the top picks. Especially ones that have like a lot of pressure. I'm not sure if Zion played summer league or if he was already hurt when he got drafted. Uh, but yeah, the notion of, you know, going out playing 2 games and they're the future of your franchise, like, all right, wait till training camp and then play the games that matter kind of thing.
Hmm.
Because summer league's pretty bad basketball.
Yeah, but putting him out there at all, then I guess what's the point of 2 games versus
The speed,
zero
different,
versus?
different speed. I did see he came out and said that, you know, it's not as physical as the European basketball, the NBA pace. So it's a shot that like that used to be the complete opposite, right? Remember like 90s
Hmm.
basketball where it was like completely bully ball physical and all the Europeans couldn't hack it because they weren't strong enough. They were more finesse playing. And now the Europeans are coming over saying, you know, NBA is too finesse and it's too soft. So that was
Yeah,
something interesting that he said as well.
yeah. All right, what about the Bulls, Dan? Give us
Okay,
the
here we go.
rose-colored
Here we
glasses
go.
view of this team. There's not a lot from my end to be hopeful for in the near future. I feel like this is going to be the exact same team with the exact same problems next year, if not more. And the fact that we don't have anything to look forward to. Lonzo Ball, we know is not going to play next year. Whereas last year, I feel like we always had this in the back of our mind, like he's going to come back and this team's going to turn it around. This year, we know he's not going to come back. So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, they applied for the player exception for Lonzo. I don't know if the NBA has gotten back to them yet. If they are going to grant him the player exception, which will give the Bulls some financial freedom to go out, hopefully, and make another move at least. I think, I mean, I'd be super upset and disappointed if this was the roster going forward. I still think there's moves to be made, players to be signed, flexibility in the roster. I really want to see some of the bigger players traded. Number one for me would be DeRozan, just because of the amount of times he needs the ball in his hand to be effective. So he's not really an off the ball player. So if you move to Rosen and you get some pieces back, we could play, you know, more of a fast paced, open style of basketball instead of slowing it down, walking up and giving DeMar the ball and going 1-on-1. But from what's going on, from what I see, I like the signings that we've done. I mean, they're not like big splashes, but they're like just solid basketball players. Javon Carter from Milwaukee. So we have a point guard there. He's going to be solid. He's kind of a bulldog. He's really good defensively. His 3-point shot has kind of increased percentage wise as he's been in the NBA. And you know, he came out of college. I believe he went to West Virginia as like an old rookie, and he's kind of grinded. But he's from Chicago. He went to Proviso East, which is like a powerhouse high school for Chicago hoops. They've had Shannon Brown from their D Brown from U of I when they made that huge run from Proviso. Michael Finley, Doc Rivers, like he's got pedigree. He's tough. Chicago's going to absolutely love this guy. And then Torrey Craig, he just won a championship with the Denver Nuggets. That's a good signing. He's going to be a good role player. I believe Denver, or yeah, was he Denver or Phoenix? I think he was on Denver. But anyways, he's kind of like
Phoenix.
a Phoenix. Sorry, he's like a three and D. Maybe he was Denver before they won it. 3 and D, long, athletic, can kind of knock down, but they're both the good basketball players. Julian Phillips is playing in summer league. He didn't play the first game. Typical Bulls, they didn't have like a contract signed, so he didn't play the first game. I don't know if I've seen anything that the contract has been signed, but he played the second game, didn't do anything, looked pretty bad. Played the
They
third.
signed him today,
They signed him today, so he played
a
the
couple hours
third
ago.
game,
Yeah.
which was yesterday. And he looked pretty good. He hit all of his 3-point shots. He had a couple offensive rebounds that he put back for dunks. So he's doing what hopefully we want him to do, which is being athletic, rebounding, crashing boards, hitting open jumpers, hitting open threes, and just being, you know, active. So I like that. Dalen
What
Terry
about
looks like,
Terry? Yeah.
yeah, I'm not high on him at all, man. The more I watch him, he just doesn't look like he knows how to play offense. Like he's athletic, he's long. I think the Bulls are trying to make him a point guard. So they're having him facilitate a lot. but he doesn't shoot. He doesn't look for a shot. He doesn't have the handles to break anyone off one-on-one. But the one thing he does, right, and you saw this when he got minutes last year, is that he's just kind of like a gnat. He's a pest. He'll get up in people's faces. He'll pick someone up like full court. But he doesn't have an offensive game, which is really upsetting because, it's another draft pick by AK that like is going to take so long to develop when fans want people that could help this team now, right? And I don't know if
Yeah.
Dalen Terry is going to be able to do that.
All right. Well, I feel like I've heard enough, Dan. I think you gave me
But
a little bit.
that being said, can't wait
not
to
as
watch
much-
the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can't wait to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to the Bears, who I'm a little more optimistic about, a little more hopeful for. We're exactly a month away from the first preseason game. I feel like NFL is sneaking up on us. It always
Crazy.
does this right
Yeah.
after the All-Star game for the MLB. It's like, all right, when's football season going to start? But we're hearing some good things out of camp. Braxton Jones giving some praise to Darnell Wright. He said he was ahead of where he was as a rookie, and Braxton had a great rookie year. Obviously, Wright's a first-round pick, so you'd hope that that's what everybody'd be saying. But still good to hear. It's not a negative thing. And I was a little disappointed the Bears didn't get selected for HBO's Hard Knocks. The Jets got that nod, but
Yeah.
thought that would have been fun. I watched that show. I don't know. Do you still keep
I
up
watch
with
it.
every episode?
I watch it too. And I saw Netflix is coming out with The Quarterback, which is like not really Hard Knocks for a team, but they followed like Kirk Cousins, they followed Mahomes and a couple other quarterbacks last year, and they made like a
Mariota.
documentary about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
your guy.
My
Yeah.
guy. Love it. Yeah. So I'm
Yep.
excited for that. Yeah, I like Hard Knocks. I just think Bears will never do it. I think the McCaskies will never greenlight that.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the perfect storm. I feel like they were in the running for it this year, one of the like 4 finalist teams or something like that, but ultimately didn't get selected. The Jets is going to be a great one to follow, though. I think so much going on there. Aaron Rodgers, a lot of great players, and they're just an up and coming team. So, but it's the Jets. It'll be fun to see them blow up.
Of course,
like they always do.
They have,
of course.
Yeah. Did you see who was it? Mooney was on some podcast that everyone's throwing around the quote. It's like, get ready to win, basically talking about like Bears fans, like get prepared to start seeing some wins racking up.
Love to hear it.
You think we're gonna be over 500? I don't know. I think it's gonna be a fun team to watch for sure. For sure, gonna be a fun team to watch.
I'm going over 500. I think. I like the schedule. I think this team matches up really well with what they got, opponent wise this year. And the offensive line should be better. Receiving corps is obviously going to be better.
Complete faith in Justin Fields?
I do have complete faith in him. Yeah, I do.
As a passer?
I think so. I really think he's going to be a really good passer. I mean, he was good at Ohio State when he had good wide receivers, right? So now you give him a good wide receiver. It's got Mooney. So maybe you still need another good wide receiver still, I would say. A lot of the great teams have a couple unless you have Mahomes, but I think Joe Burrow with Higgins and Chase I mean, you need to have a couple, I feel like. So I think we're going to see a big jump, but
haven't had a tandem like that since like Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great to have. But all right, Dan, let's move over to the Cubs. All-Star game was going on this past weekend.
It's cool.
3 All-Stars for the Cubs. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's a pretty well-represented team. And Swanson and Stroman didn't play, but my guy, Justin Steele, got him on my fantasy team. He was there, came on in the 5th inning, tied game, made the most of his opportunities, won scoreless inning. So Steele looking good in the All-Star game. I'm pretty impressed.
I feel like that doesn't happen often for like Chicago athletes when they make an All-Star appearance, whether it be NBA or MLB. Well, when they play too, it's like they're not like the focus or they don't do anything well. And this was kind of quite the opposite. A lot of people at least like Twitter accounts and news accounts, sports media were sharing, the success that Justin Steele had and how that was kind of a cool story.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of people like clamoring for him to start the game too. Mm-hmm. Zach Gallen ended up starting, but I think Justin Steele was in the mix there to be the starter for the NL team. So pretty cool to see that. He's been outstanding this year. We'll see how he does the second half. I mean, if he has a second half close to what he had last year, he might be in the running for the NL Cy Young. So really liked him. And it was his birthday on the day of the game, which is pretty sweet. And his son's birthday too. So He's got a 1-year-old son. It was his son's first birthday to be at the All-Star game with your dad. That's pretty incredible, right?
I thought his name was it, did you remember his kid's name? It was something like super like Southern. It was like Bo Steele or something like that. I can't remember what it
Uh,
was, but I think I saw like a graphic of it on the, the bottom of the screen while it was like
Bo.
playing him.
Yep.
Is it Bo? Yeah. I was like, that
Mhm.
sounds just like when you're a professional athlete, and I think I don't know, you kind of like name your kid thinking of how the announcers are going to say it when they're pros. Like Justin Steele, Bo Steele, Bo Steele. That sounds awesome.
Or you just do Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah,
Just
or you just
name
do
your
your
kid after
exact same
yourself.
name.
Yeah.
George Foreman, Georgette Foreman. Yeah.
Which was also pretty sweet. Vlad Guerrero Jr. His
Yeah,
dad
won
won
the
it. He
home run
won it
derby.
12 years apart. That's pretty amazing too. I don't know if we'll ever see that again, but
Yeah.
maybe with, I don't know, Matt Holliday never won one. His kid's looking pretty good, I guess, in the minors. Jackson
Really?
Holiday.
I
Yeah,
know.
he's
Well,
like a top five prospect.
home run derby though. I was like, Biggio's been good, but he's not neither of them are home run hitters.
Yeah.
Just wait,
I mean,
wait
isn't
for
it? It's
Otani to have
crazy.
a kid.
It's crazy. And the more I think about it, the more crazy it is that, like
Father son
huge
home run.
power
Yeah,
hitter
yeah,
to win the home run derby, to be the best home run hitter in the MLB
yeah,
essentially for that year, which I love the format too. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of it, but
yeah. I was
it's
watching it.
it's changing, it feels like every year. And this
It got
year
better,
it
and
was
this year
much
was
more rapid,
rapid,
throw
and
as many
then
pitches
the
as you want, let
players
this
were
guy
good.
swing.
Big name
Yeah.
players and up and comers. It was like everybody who was out there, you're like, oh, I could see myself like wanting this guy to win. Like he's got a cool
Hmm.
story. He's got the good guy. Like like yeah,
Rosarina.
well represented for the league. A lot of young talent in the league as well. I think it was a good All-Star weekend for Major League Baseball, which is also like the best All-Star game out of all professional sports because it's easy to like be competitive in baseball. Like NBA, no one plays defense. It's like a dunk contest. NFL,
Hmm.
no one wants to hit each other because they don't want to get hurt. But
Right.
baseball, you could just kind of play it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. NL1, but I think I'm pretty sure the game still matters, right? It
I was gonna
determines
say, do they do
home
like
field
home field
advantage in the World
advantage?
Series for the World Series. Yeah.
They still do that?
Yeah. So yeah, started in 2003, I believe, is when it started. But yeah, that's so it matters a little bit, you
Yeah.
put a little bit of purpose on the game. I think the players, you could tell at the end of that game because it was a
I
close
think
game,
I
couple of
saw
runners on,
the rule too for like extra innings was gonna be a home run
home run
derby,
derby.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. They should just do that
Yeah,
in regular season.
for sure. Rather than put the guy in second, let's see the
Yeah.
home run derby at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
Right. Opposite manager chooses the players too, right? So it's like strategy or something like that.
I think so. Yeah. It was pretty, that would have been sweet. We'll see that eventually, I
Yeah.
think. But
Hope so.
yeah.
All right, man. Speaking of, Justin Steele, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and like father-son relationships, I am about a month away from becoming a dad. So I know you are a father. You have your daughter, and I kind of want to ask you some questions as I prepare myself in the next little over a month to be kind of welcomed into that world. So
For sure. Let's
if you're okay with it, I got some questions. We'll keep it light, nothing too heavy, but just some questions that I have on my mind.
absolutely. And I think before you even fire away here, I want to say congrats. I mean, you're a month out. It's so close. It's going to happen so fast.
I know.
And it's really an interesting thing once you have a kid to talk to somebody else that has a kid, or when you find out someone else has a kid, because there's
Yeah.
almost like this bond that you have immediately. Like, how old's your kid? Oh, 12 months. Okay, I
Yeah.
know what that's like. Or, I'm
Yeah.
coming up on that. Like, where are you at? And so you'll see what, after you have your daughter, kind of how that works, and how you have this unspoken bond with people that you just don't even really know or may have just met, but
Yeah.
you guys have
You're
this
all in the same
shared
arena.
experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
that binds you together. So it's pretty cool.
All right. So here we go. We'll kind of do this like chronologically as I'm working through it too. So just over a month until it starts. Hospital. I don't know how your setup was, but I know we get our own room, we get our own suite and things like that. What are some of the things like essentials that you should bring as the partner, and then also as like, maybe helping out or setting up the room? Do you remember any of this stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna happen so quick. So you want to make sure you have all that stuff packed. But the biggest thing for me
PlayStation, bag of
personally, I didn't bring a
chips.
PlayStation. I've heard people that bring PlayStations, which I think is nuts. But you are there for a long time, and
Yeah.
not this isn't just for you; it's for both of you. Honestly, um, we brought a Fire Stick. You plug that into the back of the TV,
Mm,
and so you can watch, Netflix, whatever
not
you
a
want to
bad
do,
idea.
because you are going to be there for a bit, and you're going to want to bring pillows because the hospital pillows are awful, and blankets. If you can pack all that stuff in a suitcase, changes a couple changes of clothes for sure, and phone chargers and stuff. I mean, really, that's all that we used, or that I felt like I needed for sure. So, but
Yeah.
something to do, something that's going to keep you busy because
Right.
you're going to be
Immaculate grid
in
on
there
the
for a while.
phone.
Immaculate Grid. I'm
Yeah,
loving
we did,
playing
we did a
Immaculate Grid.
couple things where it's like, you can bring like fake candles and like, really kind of like dress this room up and create it your own. And I don't know if you guys did any of that, but like essential oils and have a scent in the room. I don't know. We'll see about that. First time holding first time holding your kid. Like, are you a wreck? Is it all hitting you all at once? Are you like, holy shit? Like what?
Almost
Oh
in
my gosh.
It's like almost in shock. You just
Yeah.
like time stops almost for a second, I think, in that moment, and you're just kind of staring, and you can't look away from the kid and the experience that you just went through to get there. It's it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, really, and it's different for everybody, I'm sure, but yeah, it just felt like, I can't believe this is happening kind of moment.
Right. Yeah. And then you get home. This is like, I can like foresee this. I'm looking into the future. You go through this like crazy, huge experience, life altering, right? And then you get home and there's no more nurses. There's no more like staff. It's just you and your partner.
Yeah, it's like the safety
And yeah,
guards,
what's that feel like when you
bumpers
like
are
kind of
off.
get home? Yeah.
You're, it's hard to leave the hospital because you're just like, but you also want to, right? You've been there so long and you're like, all
Yeah.
right, let's get home, let's get in our space, it's more comfortable. But you get back and then you're like, all right, we have to keep this thing alive now. There's no one here to help us with this. And I just remember, yeah, running through all the questions with the nurse. And of course, they're just like so nonchalant about, oh, you just do this or that because they see
It's their
babies
job
all day
every
long.
day.
But you're just like,
Yeah.
this is my kid. I don't want to ruin this.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a lot of stress for sure the first couple days because you get home and you're worried about every little noise that they
Noise
make.
and thing. Yeah.
Hmm. They're gonna be coughing, and you're gonna be worried. Are they sick? Is there something wrong here? Do I need to bring them back to see if something's up here? But no, I mean they're gonna be fine, and I think you guys are gonna do such a
The
great
figure it
job. It's
out
not
kind
gonna
of
matter.
thing.
You guys are gonna
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah.
All right. What's one of the items maybe in that first couple months or weeks that you used all the time that going into it, you're like, this, I don't even know why we have this. We're not going to use this.
So there was this like I don't even think I think I was talking to my wife about this the other day. There's like they're called Boppy loungers.
Uh-huh.
Almost looks like a
Yeah.
little dog bed.
We got one.
And so you put the baby in there and it can, sit on the floor while you're watching TV or something like that. But it's just like a place to put the baby. So you're not constantly having to hold or pass the baby back and forth to each other, just somewhere to
Mm-hmm.
let them rest. Cause when we first got that, I was like, what are we gonna do with this crazy looking dog bed thing? But we used it like nonstop, like everywhere we went. And you can like sit on the couch and like keep an eye on the baby or let them sleep in it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And all those warnings on things too. It's as long as you're keeping an eye on your kid or you're there, it's
There's
gonna be fine. I wouldn't worry about it.
so many like comment hellholes that you can go click down and people are like, I can't
Yeah,
believe you're using that. Like, what kind of parent are you? And like just the guilt behind that stuff. It's ridiculous. All
yeah.
right.
But there's no right way to do anything. That's the craziest part of the whole parenting thing is that you can do this or somebody else will do that. Like a lot of people have said great things about having swings
Mm-hmm.
for their kids. They'll rock them to sleep and soothe them. And we just never had one, but I don't think it's a bad idea at all, you know. So there's just different ways to do everything, and so, but
Definitely. So
that thing was a big piece for us because
the boppy pillow.
the boppy, yeah.
What's the so flipping that same question on its head, right? What was something that was like expensive that you like, oh man, this is gonna be the best, like can't wait for our kid to use this, or we're totally gonna need this, and then you just like use it once, you're like, yeah, it's total waste of money.
So we bought like a pretty nice camera to keep an eye on our baby, and
Like
we
that, yeah.
the
Like the
like our
nursery cam,
Wi-Fi in our
right?
place kind of stinks, and so it would go out all the time, and we could like the camera part of it would never work, but the noise would work fine. But her room's right across from ours anyway, so we could hear her,
Mm.
and you kind of know if something's going on, and you're also a little bit nervous, like I said. So you're checking in, walking in there yourself just to make sure they're still sleeping or whatever. Anyway, so we didn't really use the monitor that much. Um, and I just remember when we were looking into this, we're like, we got to get this really expensive one, to get the best one because we want to keep an eye on her the whole time. It also had an option of like this little heartbeat sensor that you could put on her foot, and just to make sure that she's like still
Yeah,
alive and
I
stuff.
see
And
those. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that sounds like a great idea. And you know, I'm really happy we didn't buy that
I
one, but
see those
you know,
for
number two, I was
resale
like,
all the time.
yeah, because it's just something it sounds like a good idea, but you don't need it.
They're
You just
just
don't need it.
preying on the fear of parents. That's it.
Mhm.
Dude, the baby market's crazy. There's so many things of like, if you don't get this, your kid's gonna die, and it's $1,000. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to get used to changing shitty diapers?
Honestly, pretty quick. I think did 2 at the hospital maybe, and then after about a week, I'd say you get kind of used to it. I didn't have that experience with like the big like blowout all over the
Yeah,
place kind of thing.
up the
So
back.
yeah, I was never like that crazy. So can't speak to that, but no, you get used to it pretty fast, man.
All right, and how old is your daughter?
2.5.
How fast does the time go?
Yeah, it feels like it was just yesterday when we had her. So it moves really, really quick. Your life's gonna change, you know, a lot. But I mean, a lot of people are scared of that, I think, and that's you know, it's tough because it's different. Your life will be different, but in my opinion, it's better.
Yeah.
You know, I say this a lot, I feel like, but highs are high. They're higher than they are now when you're just you or just you and your wife. Like
Hmm.
the great things that happen to you guys, they're great, right? But when you have a kid, when your kid does something great, it feels 10 times that, you know? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the spectrum of really good and really bad is much bigger. And I just feel like it's worth it, in my opinion.
Well said, man. I was going to give you last out, and I appreciate you doing this. It's putting me at ease a little bit and giving me some confidence. But do you have? I know 2.5, and you have one kid. Some people like, what's the advice that you would give new parents? And people would say, well, you're a new parent, but do you have any advice for parents, new parents, going to be
Uh,
parents?
yeah, I mean, just don't beat yourself up if you feel like you did something wrong or aren't doing something the right way, or, you know, like everybody's just trying to figure it out because there's no playbook, and you only do what you do based on your own lived experiences from, you know, when you were a kid, or, you know, what you've seen and what's worked so far. So I would say don't be too hard on yourself. I think that's an issue a lot of people, including myself, deal with all the time.
Well
But
said.
at the end of the day, you guys are going to be great. I know you and your wife are going to do a fantastic job. So,
Appreciate
no, I mean,
that.
I love talking about this, and I'm like I said before, anybody with a kid loves hearing it and loves talking about it. So it's an easy thing to bring up. Just don't get too into it. Like what's that Tim Robinson sketch? I think you should leave, where the one Jason Schwartzman's just always talking about his kids everywhere, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
just stop me talking
Yeah.
about my kids again."
Yeah.
But no, it's fun to bounce that off of other people and hear their stories and opinions on, you know, where their kids were at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm kind of I'm kind of wanting it to just fast forward for this next month and just like let's start this thing. Let's start this adventure together. But I
That's great
appreciate
to
it,
hear,
man.
man. Yeah, everything's all set up. You guys are all set to go.
Yeah, we're all ready to go. So, and for our listeners, thanks. I know this isn't really sports talk, but I thought we'd pivot a little bit and try this out. So, if you enjoyed it, maybe give us a comment or a reply to the episode. And if you want things like this in the future, maybe we'll continue to do it. But appreciate you
Congratulate
guys.
Dan too. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
appreciate y'all letting us go there.
yeah, we'll talk about it again. After it happens.
Cool.
in
You
this
got a
short
fast
month
fact?
here. I do have a fast fact. I
All
have a
right.
couple actually. It's from this All-Star game that just happened this past weekend. So this was the NL's first win since 2012. I mean, it's a long time for them to go without winning an All-Star game. Justin Steele was the second pitcher to appear in an All-Star game on his birthday. So that was kind of cool. I mentioned his birthday was on the All-Star game. And then it's the first time two players with the same last name ever hit home runs in the same All-Star game. Yandy Diaz and Elias Diaz of the Rockies, who I
Awesome.
think won the MVP.
Yep.
They both did it. So interesting little facts from that game. That's all I got. Thanks
Awesome.
again for joining us today. For Dan Slook, I'm Evan Bierman. You've been listening to the Domestic Draft Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the show. You can find us on Twitter at Domestic Draft, on Instagram at Domestic Draft Podcast. Our website is domesticdraft.com, and you can watch the show on YouTube. Just search up Domestic Draft and drop us a sub. Thanks again for listening.
Cheers.